Kundalini is the Eastern name for an evolutionary mechanism that exists at the base of the spine in the sacrum in every human being. When Kundalini rises, it feels like a physical snake as thick as a man's wrist is pushing up through the perineum, the flat area between the anus and genitals, pushing up into the torso, and 3.5 coils inside the torso, and then out through the neck and head. And then a heavy flap of energy hangs down over the forehead to the nose. This feels like a giant snake is moving through you. Kundalini is also called the Serpent of Fire because of the fiery burning sensation often associated with Kundalini rising. If you examine ancient Egyptology, the time of the pharaohs and the pyramids, and if you look at the artwork and the statues of that time, you will see a lot of pictures and jewelry and statues with cobras coming out of the forehead. Statues of the pharaohs, jewelry pieces, uraeus headpiece, which has a little gold cobra coming out of the forehead. And these things tell me that the Egyptians knew a lot more about Kundalini than we give them credit for today. There are two different ways that Kundalini usually manifests. And the first way, which is the most common in the Western world, is spontaneous Kundalini awakening. And this awakening can be caused through intellectual work, devotional work, spiritual work, and various other things. Even energy work and yoga can cause Kundalini awakening. And when Kundalini is awakened, it begins the process of evolving the energy body and the mind of the person it is working in. Manual Kundalini raising is only possible with body awareness, tactile imaging energy work, because that is the only thing that allows you to get close enough to your energy body and its chakras and to raise enough energy to activate Kundalini in an intense enough way to get the full Kundalini Serpent of Fire effect. A common misconception in the Western world is that when you've raised Kundalini up to a mind's eye explosion level, you are done. It's finished, you are now enlightened. You are done deal. And this is completely untrue. That is the first level of awakening Kundalini, and there are many levels beyond that. And Kundalini needs to be risen regularly, say once a week over a period of time, to allow these other phenomena to grow and to allow Kundalini to fully manifest itself. Kundalini spikes are the most common sensation you'll hear about relating to Kundalini, and that is fairly accurate. A Kundalini spike can be mild or it can be incredibly intense, depending on your energy body situation. And a Kundalini spike feels like mains voltage electricity is shooting up through your spine to the head. And when it hits the head area, there will be a massive mind's eye explosion, blinding explosion of light. Imagine a gigantic camera lens flashing immediately before you at point blank range. That's what it's like. Kundalini is also known to cause certain changes in people. And the first of these is the creation of genius in whatever area you are focused upon mainly. It is also reputed to cause enlightenment, meaning in this sense that you become more spiritually open, more spiritually aware, and that psychic abilities will manifest within you. The last thing that Kundalini is reputed to pass on to somebody who has awakened it is a type of immortality. If you check back with me in a couple of 100 years, I'll let you know how that goes. Many of the techniques we use today, particularly in the traditions for stimulating the chakras and raising Kundalini, have their origins thousands of years ago in heavily agricultural based societies. And in those societies they had no television, no computers, no cell phones. Books were rare, and so you have people there in those days who were very, very grounded and did not have any mental stimulation at all. And in that sense it makes a great deal of sense to spend more time stimulating your higher chakras like your brow center and less time stimulating your lower chakras. Flash forward a few thousand years to today, And we in the modern world live in a high-tech, high-paced civilization. We are mentally overstimulated with an onslaught of information from cell phones and computers and televisions and music. And in that sense, we are highly mentally stimulated already, and the higher chakras are already quite active, but the lower chakras are not very active, which causes most Western people to be ungrounded. So in that sense, it is logical to spend more time working on the lower chakras to provide the grounding and the foundation before we attack the higher chakras with powerful techniques to raise Kundalini. When you approach raising Kundalini, it is very wise to have a solid, experience-based teacher and knowledge base from which to call upon while you are learning. You need a teacher that has been there before, that has actually raised Kundalini and knows about what mistakes can happen and why, and how to fix them and how to prevent them, and all the little tips and tricks you'll need to help you on your way. There comes a point of no return when you are approaching Kundalini and you are doing a lot of body awareness, energy work, affirmations. Eventually you get to a point where you send such a clear message out to your higher self and to life that you could never really return. Approaching Kundalini and the energy work involved, particularly when you raise Kundalini, burns away a lot of the natural chakra shielding. They call it energetic webbing that protects all of your chakras, and that starts to burn away through use. Now when a chakra gets to a certain level of activity, and a very high level of activity there, the natural webbing that protects it from intrusive energy starts to burn away. And this webbing also reduces activity deliberately to keep you in the physical reality where we have to go to work and live a life normally. And all of that burns away. And that exposes you to a lot of intrusive energies around you, including psychic attacks from human beings who want to control you and make you do things or affect you in various ways, and also non-physical people, spirits, demons, dark entities, all different kinds of them, which are trying to influence you. Now, because you are taking a big step into the greater reality, you are demonstrating that you are ready for this, that you are ready to take these steps. And because of this, a lot of your psychic abilities are going to start to manifest. You are going to have clairvoyance, clairaudience, you'll be hearing spirit voices and noises, you'll be seeing things, and there is not a great deal of control that comes with this in the early stages, so it can be difficult to turn it off at will. And so you're exposed to a lot more things than you normally are. And because of this, you really, really need to study my book, The Practical Psychic Self-Defense Handbook, and also consider taking our program, Defense Against the Dark Arts. As you start to increase your energies and your energetic development, you will find, as you have sent this message out to life, that you are taking a big evolutionary step forward by raising Kundalini. You will find life will provide you with a constant stream of trials and tests and redirects. And you will start to think at some stage that life is conspiring deliberately against you to stop you. But what it is life is testing you and helping you. I mean, some of these tests may involve hitting your weaknesses, and you'll find your weaknesses come out continually, and the purpose of that is for you to recognize them and to deal with them and to do something about these weaknesses. And you will find your friends may start to act aggressively towards you or differently towards you. They may pull away from you, particularly if you tell them what you're doing. Now, raising Kundalini is a very, very big deal, and it is really wise if you keep this to yourself only and do not tell other people exactly what you're doing. This can be difficult, keeping this level of secrecy, but it will help a great deal with keeping your normal social group stable. I mean, raising Kundalini is a bit like winning the lottery, and it will make your friends and family act a little bit strange, and it can be very, very testing in that sense. Another thing raising Kundalini can bring about, including the intensive energy work involved, are initiation programs. Initiations can occur during astral experiences, out-of-body experiences, and also through clairvoyant visions and various other ways. And these can be like formal initiation ceremonies of various types, which you may not understand. And my best advice here is to keep smiling, pretend you know what you're doing, and just go with the flow. And it all works out. Some of these programs are built into the collective consciousness. You could say you've triggered this program, and all of a sudden this program plays, and you go through this program. So sometimes there's not a lot of extra personal sense to be had with these things. I mean, you're in the middle of an initiation ceremony and you try and talk to somebody that's involved and they don't respond. It's like you're playing a movie. So just do your best, keep smiling and go with the flow, and everything will be okay. Now keep in mind that all the way through this process, as you are developing yourself and approaching raising Kundalini, you will be continually receiving guidance from your higher self, guidance within. And this guidance has been with you your entire life, every day, every night, every moment of your life. The guidance is there. And it comes not just through intuition and downloads, and you could say telepathic, intuitive impressions on you, but also through everything in your life. Everything around you is a gigantic metaphor of your life. And messages are contained in that, and always have been, directly from your higher self about everything. And this guidance can be in the clouds. It can be something you hear on a radio, something a friend tells you. It can be something from a stranger, like you're sitting on a bus stop waiting for a bus and a complete stranger starts talking to you and tells you about a dream he had last night. And 5 minutes later you get on the bus. But that dream, what that person told you, may be very significant for you and your life and your plans. So you have to learn to be observant and to examine everything around you. And basically, keep your ears open and stay on alert for advice. Look for synchronicities and coincidences and random occurrences, and be ready to take the advice. And sometimes this advice is subtle, sometimes it's not particularly earth-shaking. It could not be really, really important. It may be to do with something mundane in your life. But some of this can also be for training. So you are presented with this information to pick it up and recognize it and apply it to your life in some small areas of your life. It might be to do with the type of dog food you're feeding your pets or something like that. But it's important that you get practice recognizing it, receiving it, and using it. And that gives you training for receiving higher level information and more important information as it occurs.